Hey, it's Randy with Lane Home Pros, and today we're here with Bryan from Oregon Log Home Repair. We're going to find out exactly what he does in Oregon and maybe even somewhere else. So anyways, Bryan, what about yourself? Tell us about Oregon Log Home Repair, and I guess, when did it all get started?
Well, Oregon Log Home Repair, we do full restoration work on any and all log homes, from rot repair to refinishing, and we started this about 20 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since.
So whereabouts in the state will you travel to in Oregon?
We travel the entire state.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Now, you mentioned that you do log home repair. Does it have to be a newer one, older one? What age of a home would you work on?
Any log home, new, old, doesn't matter.
So what would be an example of an old home that you've worked on? How many years old would it be?
I think the oldest one I've worked on was about 1930.
No, that's pretty old.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you go out there, what kind of crew do you take with you and the tools and so on? Like, how do you get there?
We travel with box trucks and trailers, and we tow a lot of equipment out there. Just depending on the size of the job, kind of depends on how many guys we're going to need on a specific project, and
Right.
And what kind of tools and equipment we're going to need.
So can you give me an example of a small job? What would a small job be, and how long would it take?
A small job, like a small rot repair, maybe 3 to 4 days, and maybe a couple of guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what about a big job? What are some of the big jobs you've done?
I've done a few pretty big projects that took us about anywhere from 2 to 3 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So in that case, in 2 to 3 months, my question would be, do I have to move out? If I was in the home, would you have to move out in some of these cases?
Generally, no, but there has been a few big projects that we've done where you wouldn't want to live in there while we're doing the restoration work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then in Oregon, Washington, what do you see most? Is it refinishing, or is it rot repair, or is it both? Like what type of work?
Both. A lot of refinishing work. There's a lot of folks that don't keep up with the maintenance on the exterior finish, and that tends to break down pretty quick if you don't take care of it. So we do a lot of refinishing work and rot repair, but generally it's a lot more refinishing stuff.
So refinishing obviously is happening because there's something happening to either the stain on there. Is it because of neglect, or is it because of poor products? Like, what would it be?
Both. Just the wrong products. Might not last very long. A lot of it's just the location. If you get full sun,
right,
and things like that, and then the neglect part too is a big factor. If you don't keep up on it, it'll break down pretty quick.
Right.
So
I think one of the questions people are going to ask is, like, are these environmentally friendly products that you're using for the refinishing, stripping, and then reapplying? What do you use there?
Yeah, we use mostly water-based systems for the exterior finish work, and any chemicals that we use as far as stripping down the house or in the whole refinishing process is all biodegradable.
Okay.
So
okay, that makes sense. So then when you're traveling, let's say 100 miles away from Eugene, for example, then do you charge the customer travel time, or how does that get factored in when you're doing this billing? People are going to wonder about that.
Yeah, as far as the travel time to the job, or just
to the job itself?
Yeah, I mean, it's factored into the price of the project, but generally it's not a big cost, because we're not traveling back and forth all the time. We're just kind of moving from point A to point B, and then we're there for however long the project takes, the whole duration of the project from start to finish. So when we're traveling, it's factored in, but it's not that much money.
Okay.
It's not a big cost.
Maybe a couple other questions would be, are you limited by either if somebody had log siding versus a log home, are you running into that at all?
Yeah. Yeah, do a lot of log siding, and we can get it. We can make it. So if you need something, you know, we can get anything log or make it. So the siding, there's a lot of log houses that have like a two-story home, and the top half is log siding, and the bottom half is all log.
Right.
So it's, and it's not often, but you know, they're out there.
Right. So then on the rot side, are you seeing the rotting on the physical logs themselves or on the decks and stairs? Like what really happens there?
Yeah, both. Usually it's the lower logs, the corners, that tend to rot. They get a lot of rain and weather, and a lot of folks, they overseal them. They overseal and caulk and seal up the logs to the point where they can't breathe, or they use the wrong product, and so when it does get wet, it just holds all the moisture in there. And we see that a lot in the corners.
Okay.
Yeah, decks too. When after a while, when the house starts to settle, and the deck becomes uneven, a lot of times the rain can actually flow backwards into the house. So a lot of ledger boards we're pulling off and replacing log behind that. So
right. So then you brought up something about sealing and chinking, for example, would be a question there. Is that a problem that you see often?
Yeah, I mean, it's some houses, when I show up to them, I see them and there's rot. They're over sealed. But you know, generally, you know, just really just depends on what stains on there. I don't see it really often.
Okay.
But every once in a while,
Right.
that'll be the cause of the rot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think a question will come up for a lot of people are going to say, well, Bryan, you're out here with your crew and you're doing the rot repair, you're doing some refinishing. Like, will you do my windows and doors and roof and those types of things? Is that something you tackle as well?
Windows and doors we can generally do. That's not a problem. Pretty much anything exterior, we can fix. Repair, add a window or a bigger window. If you wanted a bigger window here, we can cut the all the framing and stuff and get that put in, no problem. Yeah.
And what about the roofing? If they've had whether it's conventional or maybe somebody put on a an older cedar shaker or whatever, what are you doing on the roofing? Are you tackling that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can do roof repairs, and we've got a couple of good preservative treatments for shake roofs. So we can definitely do some roof repair if we need to do that too.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The other thing that we see happening a lot of times would be like on the chimneys. Are you doing any chimney repair on that external, on the stone or anything, or do you tackle that?
Nope, we don't do anything with the chimneys.
Okay.
Because that's a separate deal there. If you want to get some chimney work, you really want a professional that specifically works on chimneys. There's a lot of codes and regulations and things like that a chimney guy will know.
I think for the viewers there, a couple of things might come up, I guess, would be, what are a couple of tips to actually maintain my home so I don't have to call somebody like you, number one. And then number two, if a person was going to buy a home and then, try to calculate out what the repair costs would be, can you handle both of those? In other words, what's a tip, and do you ever go out and just give estimates or quotes, whether it's over the phone or a FaceTime or physically? What do you do there?
It would really help a lot if you could wash your house every year. That's a big thing.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. That'll allow the finish. What it does is all the organic material, the dust and everything that's settled on top of the logs, it breaks down and breaks the finish down a lot quicker. So what you want to do is at least wash your house once a year. Get all the dirt and dust off of it, and that'll help with the longevity of whatever finish that you have on there, whether it's oil base or water base.
That's simple.
Yeah.
So I'm buying a log home, and I've either bought it or I'm about to buy it. Do you do that type of thing where you would quote or give an estimate on the work? How does somebody get a hold of you, I guess, in a sense, and how do they get a quote?
Yeah, you can give me a call, email me, and I can, if I know the square footage of the house, I can kind of give a ballpark of what it would cost for something to get stripped down and refinished. But no matter what, I have to go look at it to find out exactly what's on it.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because some products are easier to get out, and some products are more difficult to get out, and the more difficult ones are more expensive.
Right.
There's a lot more cost involved in products and chemicals and things like that. So.
Okay, sounds good. Now we talked about Oregon. What about Washington State or California? What are you doing for work there? Travel time wise, where are you willing to go to work, I guess is the question.
Yeah, well, we travel the whole state of Oregon. Washington's just not too far away. Neither is California. So we pretty much will service the whole West Coast. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So then lead time, like say I've got my home needs repair. Can I get work done next month? Do I have to book out a long ways? How does your scheduling work?
That's a very good question. But the schedule gets filled up pretty quick in the summer.
Okay.
By the middle of the summer, halfway through it, I'm usually booked up for the whole year. So the best way to go about is to get a hold of me. At least a year or 6 months 6 months to a year would be best if you could reach out and then want to get on the schedule. That'll give us time to get to your project and look at what's going on, figure out what it needs to be repaired, and then we can get you a contract and go through that, and you can sign the contracts. Real easy to sign. You just do that right through email.
Right.
And then we can get you on the schedule.
Okay.
So.
Okay, sounds good. So what I'm hearing from Bryan here is that this is something that you just can't plan, in 3 weeks he pops out and does the work. So if you've ever, thought about getting your home repaired or, getting it refinished type of thing, make sure you schedule that in and get a hold of Bryan earlier than later then. So Bryan, you have a website. What website can people visit?
Yeah, you can find me at OregonLogHomeRepair.com, and you can find all my contact information. There's a bunch of videos and pictures and stuff you can look at as well, and there's a lot of good information there.
Okay, sounds super. Well, okay, that was great meeting you here, and I want to thank you so much.
Yeah,
welcome
thank
to
you.
Lane Home Pros, and again, that's Bryan over at Oregon Log Home Repair. Check him out, and again, talk to him early.